you mentioned alcohol usage. Now, what concerns do you have with Mr. Park's alcohol usage?
He's unable to handle himself.
Who typically has Gemma when you're drinking?
Oh, no, Gemma. I have Gemma, but I only have one drink max, and then I don't drive.
I actually asked her, how is she going to pay for her apartment? And she said that she has her ways.
Your Honor, at this time, the parties have some stipulations, agreements, temporary order, Judge. We do want to present two issues before Your Honor, which include a geographic restriction and the issue on possession and access for Mr. Parks. With that, Judge, I can read onto the record the stipulations of each parties, call each respective party and confirm that agreement for temporary orders, and then proceed with the trial.
Okay, you may do that.
Thank you, Judge. Judge, the parties have agreed that for a temporary order, the parties will be appointed joint managing conservators of the child. Ms. Weber will be the primary conservator, which she would designate the residence of the child. And Mr. Parks will pay child support in the amount of $1,356 per month starting October 1st, 2024.
1351.
1,356, 1356, starting October 1st, 2024. That's based off of a net resources of $7,748.40 at a child support guideline percentage of 17.5%. Mr. Parks will also maintain private health and dental insurance for the child through his employer. The actual cost for the health for the child alone is $250 per month. The actual cost for the dental for the child alone is $18 per month. And any uninsured expenses shall be split 50-50 per standard language, Judge. The parties have also agreed to utilize the Talking Parents application to communicate regarding the child. The parties have also agreed to a non-disclosure of Ms. Weber's telephone number only, and all the other information, which includes Ms. Weber's address, email address, where she's working at, shall be disclosed on the temporary order. All issues should be reserved for final trial, Judge, which includes conservatorship, possession access, child support, medical support, retroactive support, court cost, and the non-disclosure. Now, bear with me. That is the agreements of the parties for a temporary order, Judge. I would say to call Ms. Weber just to confirm that that is her agreement for a temporary order.
You may do so.
Ma'am, you heard me state the agreements for a temporary order in this case. Is that right?
Correct.
And at this time, you understand that you're asking the court to approve those provisions on a temporary order basis. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Only issues that we're presenting before the judge today is in regards to a geographic restriction and the possession and access for Mr. Parks. Is that right?
Correct.
Has anyone forced you to reach an agreement today, ma'am?
Has anyone forced me to reach an agreement?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Did anyone force you to agree to the stipulations for a temporary order?
Oh, no.
Okay, all right. And you believe they're in the best interest of the child?
Yes.
Okay, I pass this witness, Judge. I'd like to call Mr. Parks.
Okay, Ms. White, do you have any questions for Ms. Weber at this time?
I do not, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, you may call Mr. Parks.
And Mr. Parks, you heard me dictate the agreements for a temporary order in this case. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, and the only issues that we're presenting before Your Honor, the judge, is the issue of visitation and a geographic restriction at this time.
And retroactive pay.
The retroactive will be reserved for final trial. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, and you're asking the court to approve these agreements for a temporary order.
Yes.
Judge, I pass this witness.
Okay, and Ms. White, do you have any questions for Mr. Parks about these issues?
I do not, Your Honor. Thank you.
You may continue, Ms. Villarreal.
Thank you, Judge. I'd like to recall Ms. Weber, Your Honor. Ma'am, what type of geographic restriction are you seeking to include in the temporary order?
just in case I need to move back in with my parents. They live in Hood County.
Now, so you're okay with including a Galveston and contiguous county and include Hood
Correct.
County only?
Correct.
Why would there be a possibility where you would have to move back with your parents?
I may not be able to afford to renew my lease.
And when is your lease up?
December.
Now, do you have any potential employment in Hood
I'm-
County?
I will get a part-time job until I can return to work for Southwest Airlines. And once I'm able to return to work, then I'll still reside with them. But I will get a part-time job once I live with my parents. So that way they'll be there to babysit Gemma.
Okay. Now, Ms. Weber, are you currently employed right now?
Yes.
Okay. And do you have intentions of quitting your job?
No.
Okay. And where are you employed?
Southwest Airlines.
Okay. Now, aside from your lease, what is another reason, and your parents helping you take care of Gemma, what other reason is there to expand that geographic restriction to Hood County as well?
That's really the only reason.
Okay. Now, how far is Hood County from Galveston County?
About 4.5 hours drive.
Now, regarding the possession and access, what are you asking Mr. Parks' possession and access to be ordered for temporary orders?
The 10 supervised visits, so 10 phase 1, 10 phase 2, and 10 phase 3.
Now, let's start with the supervised. Why do you want Mr. Parks' visits to be supervised?
Recently, he's shown some behavior that worries me about leaving Gemma with him unsupervised. And I'm just really concerned for her, to be honest. And I just want to make sure that everything is okay and he's okay to be with her unsupervised before I just pass her over.
How old is Gemma?
She's 7 months.
Okay. And what behaviors have you observed that concern you?
He's continuously harassed me. And the language that he's used is scary. He's texted me over and over and over, just message after message after message, showing just very, showing that there could be something mentally wrong. And so I just want to make sure that she's gonna be okay.
Now, what is the, what type of text messages have you received from Parks specifically that have caused concern?
Harassing text messages, calling me names, derogatory statements regarding me, my body, things that have happened to me in the past, that I've gone through, just making fun of me, just a lot of things that are concerning when I haven't done anything to him, and I've just asked him to stop messaging me unless it's about Gemma. If he wants to see Gemma, I'm more than happy to talk to him about it, but instead it's just these harassing text messages.
Now, when was the last time you received a text message from Mr. Parks?
A text message or just the messages in general, because we've been talking via texting or parenting, the parenting app.
Okay, through text messaging.
When I blocked him last week is the last message.
How often do you have to block Mr. Parks?
A lot. This was the first time I blocked him in probably 2 months.
What's the longest period of you blocking Mr. Parks through text?
Probably 3 months.
Your question got muffled, so I'm not sure I heard it all. What were you asking her?
What was the longest phase of her blocking Mr. Parks? And she said 3 months. Why did you block him for 3 months?
Continuously harassing me once again.
Now, ma'am, how would you describe your communication with Mr. Parks concerning Gemma?
It's fairly good. I've just offered him to come over here and see her whenever he wants, and we've had open communication about visitation as far as that goes.
When was the last time Mr. Parks visited Gemma?
Friday before he left for Louisiana, and so that was a little over a week ago.
How long was that visit?
30 minutes.
And
Over.
when was the last time Mr. Parks had Gemma without you being present?
When his parents were in town, I allowed him to keep her overnight.
When was that?
Oh gosh, I'm not sure. Probably, maybe they were here about 4 weeks ago.
It was
What-
it was Tuesday
Mr.
when you
Parks.
let me have Gemma.
Mr. Parks,
Okay.
The way we take testimony is one person is asked questions at a time. If your attorney has a legal objection, she will lodge that. Otherwise, please don't answer for the other party or interrupt them.
Okay.
The same will go for you as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Proceed, Judge.
Yes, you may.
Thank you. Ms. Weber, how long was that period of possession that Mr. Parks had Gemma when his parents were in town?
About a day and a half.
Now, when Gemma, at the end of that visit with Mr. Parks, how was Gemma?
She was okay.
Was there anything that caused concern on her return?
No, ma'am.
Now, did you ever have to call the police on Mr. Parks for any concerns regarding Gemma?
No, ma'am.
Have you ever had to call CPS for any concerns regarding Gemma?
No, ma'am.
Now, did you ever have to call the police for any concerns regarding you?
Yes.
And when was this?
This was when we were living together. I'm not sure the exact date, but it was last year.
But was
I'm
this
not-
prior to the birth of Gemma?
Yes.
Now, for phase 1, you said you do want it supervised, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
How long do you believe that, what does the ideal schedule look like to you for Mr. Parks to have Gemma?
I mean, I think it's okay for him to have her one day during the week after work. He likes to have the kids for dinners, and that's totally fine with me. I'm all for that. I just want a supervised visit to make sure that, he's in his right mind and he's not under the influence.
Now, who would be the one supervising?
If it's okay, I don't mind doing it. If it's not okay, then we can find a mutual friend to do it as well. And he does have a friend that we both get along with. Her name is Rebecca Mullins, and I propose that she would be a good person for that.
Now, is Rebecca Mullins related to either one of you?
No, ma'am.
Now, you said that you're okay with visitation being after work for dinner time. Where would these supervised visits take place?
Either at his house or my house, or we can also do a location in the area as far as like a restaurant goes. So Chili's or Popeyes is where they usually go.
Now, ma'am, given your prior testimony that you were unsure of Mr. Park's state, do you believe it would be wise to go to Mr. Park's home or to your home just with you and the child?
I mean, he's never physically been a threat to me.
Now,
So
now you mentioned alcohol usage. Now, what concerns do you have with Mr. Park's alcohol usage?
he's unable to handle himself when he's under the influence of alcohol and drinks too much, and he's come to a different state of mind. It's not a good state of mind.
And do you know how often Mr. Parks uses alcohol or drinks alcohol?
I do not. I only know I can tell by the text messages that I get because they don't make sense, but
objection, Your Honor, speculation.
Sustained.
Now, ma'am, has Mr. Parks ever mentioned or stated that he's had an alcohol problem?
yes, ma'am.
When was that?
When we were together, he said that he did go to rehab prior to us being in a relationship. I'm not sure exactly what year that was. And he did state that, when we were talking about trying to co-parent together, that his mom came down to help him detox, and he went to Louisiana to detox at their house. And that was recent.
So this was the recent visit from his parents and his recent visit to Louisiana.
It was one, but I believe it was one before that.
Now, aside from alcohol, to your knowledge, does Mr. Parks have any issues with any other substance?
No, all I know is he takes over-the-counter pills and mixes them with alcohol.
How do you know that?
I've seen the empty pill bottles. He's taken my prescription medicine as well, and I've found the open prescription bottle next to his alcohol in the kitchen
Objection,
before.
speculation.
Overruled.
When was this, ma'am?
This was last year before Gemma was born.
You have a month?
I'd have to go back through my pictures, but
Were
I
you
did take a
pregnant?
picture. Yes, ma'am.
Uh, do you know if Mr. Parks has any pending criminal charges that cause concern?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
And he's also admitted to me that he took his sleeping pills with alcohol before when we went out, and that's why he was not in a right state of mind.
And when was this?
This was previous to me being pregnant.
Now, aside from the detox, the recent detox, has there been any other issues where Mr. Parks, where you knew Mr. Parks was under the influence in the presence of Gemma?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. Now, in the event, judge award you that supervised phase as you're requesting, how long do you believe that visitation should last per day? How many hours? Did you hear me, Ms. Weber?
How many? Oh, you're asking me how many hours the visitation should last? Oh, it doesn't matter really to me. I'm open as long as he would like to see her.
Ma'am, in the event the judge also grants your request for the Hood County to be included in the geographic restriction, how would the pickup and drop off work between you and Mr. Parks? Or how do you believe it would work?
We could probably meet halfway.
Where's halfway?
I believe that would be around Waco.
And how far is Waco from Galveston County?
I'm not sure of the exact mileage.
Now, is that something that you've mentioned to Mr. Parks before, that of you moving to Hood County to your parents' house?
Yes, we have talked about it when I said I may not be able to afford rent.
When was this? When did you tell him?
Recently, probably within the last few months.
And what was his response to that?
He's made fun of me.
Where is Hood County again?
Hood County is south of Fort Worth, Granbury. I mean, it's not ideal that I move back. I'm doing everything in my power not to, but just in case I have to.
And just one last question. How long do you expect Mr. Parks' supervised visits to last?
I like the idea of the standard 10 times in phase 1. Is that the question you're asking?
Yes.
Yeah, I like that idea. And I think by then will be a good sign that, he's able to do it on his own as long as he's okay during those 10 times, those 10 visits.
I pass this witness, Judge.
Ms. White, do you have questions for Ms. Weber?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Ms. Weber, when did you start dating Mr. Parks?
November of 2022.
And at the time of dating him, he had another child, correct?
Yes.
Did you have time to spend with him and the other child?
Yes.
Did you recognize how he was as a parent?
Yes.
And what would you say is it that you saw in him as a father?
He was a good parent.
Okay. You mentioned that prior to you becoming pregnant with Gemma, you noticed alcohol and drug use, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And this this was prior to the child, and then you got pregnant. During the pregnancy, did you recognize the same thing?
Yes.
And after the child was born, did you recognize the same thing?
I don't live with him anymore, so I cannot physically, I don't see him. I I hear him on the phone and I can recognize it by his texting because I
Objection, Your
have been with him for so long. Your Honor, may I
Your Honor.
continue?
Yeah, I believe you're answering the question, so I'm going to overrule the objection.
Thank you. To finish answering the question, I can tell because I have lived with him for so long and been with him that I can tell his actions and his behaviors when he is drunk, which is how I can tell now that when he is drunk and when he's sober, just by his voice and by his messages.
Okay, and you stated that he's never been drunk around Gemma.
I mean, me and him together, yes, but him by himself, no. On his birthday, I allowed him to get drunk, of course, and he wanted me to partake as well. But we stayed somewhere.
Objection, Your Honor, asked and answered.
I'm sorry?
Overruled.
Okay, so when did you move out of the home?
October of last year.
But you guys still maintained a relationship up to a few weeks ago, correct?
No, incorrect.
When did you stop the relationship altogether?
Altogether before I moved out, before I completely moved out of the house. It was it was in the summer of 2023.
Okay, so you guys weren't just recently dating.
No, ma'am.
When you stated that there were a lot of harassing, I guess, text messages, you said that they were about you, calling you names and derogatory things, but nothing about the child. That it was no issues with how he communicated with you regarding the child. Is that correct?
Correct.
Was there a point of time that you sent out a message about him to other people, derogatory?
Derogatory message of him to other people?
Yes.
Can you give me an example? It depends on the example.
Just anything derogatory.
Yeah, of the way he's treating me, absolutely.
Okay.
Judge, if I may, it looks like Mr. Parks is no longer present. I'm not sure where he went.
No, I just had to grab a water.
Okay, if everyone is ready for the hearing, when we're in court live, you should just go to the bathroom without announcing it, get water. So please treat this just like you would courthouse. It will make this go smoother. Otherwise, you're going to miss some of the hearing. You may proceed, Ms. White.
Thank you, Your Honor. You stated that you blocked Mr. Parks because of the way that he spoke with you in regards to you and calling you names and derogatory remarks, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but you said that you are open to speaking to him in regards to Gemma, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
How is he supposed to speak with you in regards to Gemma if you block him?
We are on the Talking Parents app.
Prior to the talking apps, you said you blocked him about a few months ago.
Yes, he knows my address and he knows where I live and he knows that he's able to come over here.
Okay, but if he's supposed to talk to, well, if you're agreeing that he can talk to you about Gemma, if he's blocked, what you're saying the best method would be to come to your home?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you're okay with him coming to your home in person, but you are not okay with speaking with him over the phone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so when he was blocked, you said the longest was 3 months, correct?
Correct.
And how did you guys come back together after that? He came to your home and left a message on your door, correct?
Correct.
Okay, then you allowed him to see Gemma?
Correct.
Okay, and how did that go?
It went well. He stated he didn't want to rush me into things. He didn't want to rush into anything, that he just wanted to see his daughter, and I agreed. And so we started off slowly with that, and he took her for a little while, and then me and him would go to dinners with her and his other daughter, and it went well.
Okay, and so there was no issue with him taking her for a little while. He came back, she was fine.
No issue, and he was not drinking. He told me that he was sober.
Okay, so he's currently sober.
No, ma'am. He went to Louisiana and partied in Louisiana, and that's when he started drinking again, as far as I know.
Okay, so you're saying that he periodically drinks, but he doesn't drink around Gemma?
Correct.
Okay. You also stated that you're currently employed with Southwest, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Did they recently just call you back to work? So you're not in preparation of going back?
No, we don't have to go back until a full year if we do not want to.
Right, but you are able to go back now, correct?
Yes, I'm able, as long as I have somebody who's able to watch her for the 3 days that I'm gone.
Okay, and when you were looking to go back, you did ask Mr. Parks to watch her every weekend, correct?
Yes, because he was doing great with her.
Okay, and so at that time, the request was to watch her every weekend, but it wasn't supervised, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
At that time, he was not drinking.
When was this?
This was probably I was due back if I went back when the extended leave ended on August 27th.
Okay, so back in August, just a couple weeks ago, you guys talked about him watching her every weekend, and you were okay with that.
That's correct, and he declined.
Okay, but you were okay with it, correct?
I was okay, but he declined.
Okay, so you said that you were looking to move to Fort Hood because there's a possibility that you couldn't afford your lease. But would you be able to afford the lease if you went back to work?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, with the temporary child support that you're receiving, would that assist you in affording your lease?
If I went back to work, in addition with the child support, it will definitely allow me to be able to stay here, which I would prefer.
Okay, and if you were to allow Mr. Parks to assist you with watching Gemma, then you would be able to go back to work.
Yes, ma'am. And I would like to note that I would love him to be able to spend time with her on the weekends, but just recently,
Okay.
because of his...
Your question has been asked and answered.
Your Honor, may I please finish answering?
You have to answer the questions that are asked.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Your Honor.
You have, sustaining that objection, you have to answer the questions that are asked and nothing more.
Yeah.
So at this point, you have the opportunity to go back to work with Southwest if you had the assistance of child care, correct?
Yes, but it's not child care as far as daycare. I'm gone for 3 days at a time.
Understand. Okay. And you said that you mentioned a part-time job. You said you were getting a part-time job, or do you have a part-time job?
No, I'm trying to find one.
Okay, this would be a second job, or would this be your primary job?
A second job.
Okay, so who would watch Gemma if you went to this part-time job?
I would, if I get a part-time job, hopefully it's going to be a work from home, so I would be watching her.
Okay, so you're looking for a work from home position.
Correct.
Okay, and so if you don't get the work from home position, would that cause you to go back to Southwest quicker, or how are you supposed to, again, take care of your everyday needs?
Okay, so once again, if I cannot find a job, I will have to move back with my parents if I cannot afford my lease, and then they will be able to watch her while I go to work.
But you did state that you can go back to your job.
Yes, if there's someone to watch Gemma for 3 days at it. Your Honor, may I finish answering the question?
I'm sorry, I can't hear her, Your Honor.
Yeah, I can't even hear you over the baby, to be honest. Can you re-ask your question, Ms. White?
The question was, she mentioned that she would move back with her parents, and my question, and she was also asked if she was looking to quit her job, and she said no. So my question is, if she doesn't get the part-time work from home job, she would go back to Southwest.
I still work for Southwest, correct. I'm on maternity leave right now. If I cannot find a work from home job, I will have to move back in with my parents. In order to be able to afford rent, I would have to find a part-time job here. So just in case I can't find one, I will have to move back there, and they'll be able to watch her while I go back to find.
I'm completely confused. Are you looking for a temporary job even if you go back to Southwest if you find someone to watch? So no matter what, you need a temporary job.
No, well, yes, I've been looking for a temporary job, correct. I don't go back until I can find somebody to watch her for 3 days at a time. So unless I find that first, or unless the dad is able to watch her, then I cannot go back. Unfortunately, just recently he's displayed.
Okay, now I don't need commentary. I'm just trying to figure out your job situation because I don't quite understand it.
I'm on maternity leave right now.
That I understand.
Okay.
You have a very long maternity leave. I get that. It sounds like it can go up to a year.
Up to a year, yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the issue that you stated, I'm sorry, Your Honor, may I proceed?
You may proceed.
I apologize. So the issue you stated that you only had an issue with the fact that you wouldn't be able to afford the lease. It wasn't really about the support system, but is it possible that you can possibly get a cheaper lease here in Houston? Or I'm sorry, here in Galveston County?
That is at a safe apartment complex? No.
Okay, even in contiguous counties, there is not a possibility of finding somewhere less? Okay.
No.
But
It's pretty low.
and so Mr. Parks has another child that is the half sibling of Gemma. How's their relationship?
It's very good.
Okay. And so if Mr. Parks is actually getting supervised visitation, which again, you're saying that he needs supervised visitation because he has harassing communication with you, correct?
He needs supervised visitation because of the behaviors that he is displaying really makes me nervous to leave the baby with him.
But you said that he hasn't had any issue with the baby.
Not to my knowledge, no.
Oh.
Not when he's seen her, but he doesn't see her very much.
Okay. When the police were called when you were pregnant, what were they called for?
He would
I'm
not allow.
sorry. I'm sorry.
He would not allow me to leave the house when I was trying to leave the house when he was irate
So they
and emotionally abusive to me. And I was trying to leave the house while I was pregnant, and I just wanted to get away from him, and he wouldn't let me leave.
Okay. When the police came, were you able to leave?
Yes, ma'am.
Were there any charges filed?
No, ma'am.
Did you go back?
Only to get my belongings.
That's when you moved out?
Shortly after that, in October.
Okay. And when you moved out, you did leave your belongings there for a little while longer than.
From the initial move out, when he kicked me out of the house when I was pregnant, I left most of my belongings there because I wanted to get an apartment by myself in hopes I would move back later down the road.
In hopes that you move back with Mr. Parks later down the road?
Correct. Yes.
And when you came to the conclusion that you thought maybe you would move back, was that before or after the police were called?
When I came to the conclusion that I was not going to move back.
You said that you were hoping to move back at some point.
Correct. That was before the police were called.
Okay. Do you periodically drink?
No, not anymore.
When did you stop drinking?
Probably about a month, 2 months ago, month and a half.
And who typically has Gemma when you're drinking?
Oh, no, Gemma. I have Gemma, but I only have one drink max. And then I don't drive.
Okay. So there's no concern with you drinking around Gemma, but there's a concern with him drinking around Gemma?
Objection, Your Honor.
What's your legal objection, ma'am?
I don't feel like that pertains to the question.
Overruled. You may answer the question.
No, so actually, Chad's behavior around Gemma when he is drinking hasn't been an issue. He's only drank around her a couple times. It's the issue of his behavior when he drinks towards me, and it seems like he is not in his right mental state. That is what I'm worried about. It's not the over drinking. It's not him being any way towards her. It's his mental state.
Okay, so you would agree that he is a good father?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, no more questions, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Villarreal, do you have any more questions for Ms. Weber?
No, Judge.
Okay. You can call your next witness.
Yes, I'd like to call Mr. Chad Parks.
Yes.
Sir, starting off with the issue of the geographic restriction to include Hood County, what are your concerns regarding that?
I don't feel that it's a good thing for a parent-child relationship to have to drive 2.5 hours to meet someone to pick up the kid for a few hours. Plus the cost of that.
Okay, now, did you and Ms. Weber have that conversation previously of her moving back to her parents' house?
No, we did not. I actually asked her, how is she going to pay for her apartment? And she said that she has her ways.
Now, her telling you that she could potentially move to her parents, that conversation never happened or discussion never happened.
No, I believe Miss Weber said that I had said that she had said that in the last month and a half. No, because I slept there the last month and a half.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that last part?
I said
All of it,
she,
it's a little distracting.
yeah, okay. No, she did not. Can you repeat the question again?
Yeah, so was there a conversation had
About her
regarding
moving to her
Yeah,
parents? No,
yes.
no.
Okay. Now, was there, well, aside from the distance, what other objection would you have regarding her going to include Hood County as one of the geographic restrictions?
I have no other problem with her moving.
Okay.
I have a problem with me now having to drive 2.5 hours to see my child. I feel like if that's what she wants to do, then she should come to me.
Okay. So, the testimony that Ms. Weber provided about meeting halfway, what's your position about meeting halfway?
No,
Now, is there, let me see, give me 1 second. Moving on to the possession access, what's your position of regarding the first phase being supervised with the child?
I don't agree with that. I have a
Why?
10-year-old daughter that is completely fine that I've raised for 10 years.
Okay. Now, what's your possession schedule with your 10-year-old daughter like?
That's the first, third, and fifth. We're now doing Saturdays to Sunday because she's getting a little older and wants to hang out with her friends on the weekends. So I agreed to that with her mother. I get her on Saturdays and I drop her off at about 5 to 8 p.m. or 8:30 p.m. on Sundays. I also take her to dinner every Thursday. Right now, because of her soccer schedule, me and her mother work out a schedule for dinners, but I do that every week.
Okay. So every Thursday is a given for you to have access with your other child. Okay.
Thursday,
Now,
evenings. Right.
okay. Now, you heard Ms. Weber testimony regarding some concerns regarding alcohol usage, right?
Mhm.
Now, and you have to say yes or no because we're being recorded, okay? So you
Okay.
heard her. Okay, thank you. Now, how would you describe your relationship with alcohol?
It's yes or no.
Answer the question, Mr. Parks.
I know. Okay. My relationship with alcohol. Yeah, I've drank it before. I've drinking it in the past. I've drinking it with people. Yes, in the past I've drinking when maybe, I was upset with something, or, a bad day of work. My relationship with alcohol now, though, is my last drink was on June 12th.
Now, was there a time where you had to go to a rehabilitation center for the issue of alcohol, regarding the issue of alcohol?
Yes, in 2019, I elected to do that because I had a relationship.
2019?
What was that?
What year was that? 2019?
2019, yes. Yes. I elected to do that because I drank heavily for a month. I was going through a breakup with somebody, and I realized that I needed to not do that. So I elected to go into a rehabilitation center, and they actually let me go early.
Now, how long did that last? Or how long was the rehab?
Less than 30 days. They let me go early.
Now, since 2019, have you have you gone to another rehab after
No.
that? Okay. Now, prior to you becoming clean, I believe you mentioned June 12th? What day was that? I'm sorry.
June 12th was my last drink.
Now, prior to June 12th, how often were you drinking?
Prior to June 12th,
Mhm.
I was probably drinking in the evenings. I would go to bars and go and watch a band. I was drinking like a lot of people do.
How much would you drink on those days? On that,
It really depends. How long did I stay there? I would drink. I don't know. When I was going to Taco Tuesdays with Jamie, we would drink, I don't know, 4 or 5 or something like that.
4 or 5 what? Beers, liquor, drinks? What are you talking about? Drinks.
It really depended. It was usually a liquor drink, but I think that's equivalent to a beer, right?
Okay.
Mhm.
Now, do you have any alcohol in your home now?
No, I do not.
Okay. Now, regarding the testimony that Ms. Weber provided about you going to Louisiana, is that an accurate statement that you did go to Louisiana?
I did.
When did you go?
The weekend before this,
Okay.
last weekend.
How long were you there for?
I was there from Thursday night, evening to Sunday morning. I left my parents' house.
Now, she testified that you were out partying in Louisiana. Is that true?
No, I stayed at my parents' house. We didn't even go to a casino. I actually took my e-bike to a state park that is about 10 minutes away from their house and rode that. It's documented if the court would like to see it.
Now, did you consume any type of alcohol on your trip?
No, I did not.
Now, there were also some testimony provided by Ms. Weber saying about some prescription drug usage. Do you recall that?
Okay. Prescription. Okay, go ahead.
Right? Do you have any current prescription drugs that you are required to take?
Okay, that was never a prescription. It was a Unisom, and it was not with the drinking.
Mr. Parks, if you could just answer my question real quick, we'll get into the detail. But right now, today, do you have any prescribed drugs that you're required to take?
Yes, I have a pain medication for my shoulder, which is non-narcotic. It's basically a super strength ibuprofen that I take. And also, I am prescribed a muscle relaxer right now, which I was told to take at night. I really haven't taken that in the last week or so.
Now, how long have you been taking these 2 medications?
Less than a month.
And when are you expected to stop taking these medications?
The medications are just 1 month.
Now, have you taken medication while you've been drinking?
What kind of medication? I mean, yeah, I've taken ibuprofens, but when I've been drinking before, I've taken no prescriptions.
Okay. Have you purposely taken any sleeping pills while you've been drinking?
I've taken a Unisom, which is Benadryl. Not because I've been drinking, because I couldn't go to sleep, and I may have drank in the evening and couldn't go to sleep and took a Unisom.
Now, but you've had taken drugs, prescribed or not, medication while you have been under the influence of alcohol. Is that right?
Yeah.
Now, let's see here. What type of visits do you believe you should have with Gemma?
Initially, when I had a discussion with her, I was wanting Gemma for 1 evening a week, like I do help my other daughter. And I had originally asked for the first, third, and fifth Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. That gives me time for my daughter to see her sister, and then time with her as well. That I would need.
You wanted 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. from when to when? What days?
First, third, and fifth Saturdays.
Till when?
10 a.m. to 6
Saturday,
p.m.
10 to 6?
What's that?
Are you asking for Saturday for 10 to 6?
First, third, and fifth Saturdays of the month from 10 to 6 at 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Now, sir, regarding well, let me ask you this before we move on. How long do you believe you should have that type of schedule before you have longer days and eventually overnights?
I think it's dependent on the kid, and it just when we have a discussion and come to an agreement about what's best for her.
How many times have you had Gemma spend the night with you?
Well, I was blocked for probably 5 months of Gemma's life, so
Mr. Parks, if you could just answer the question, just how many times have you had the child spend the night with you?
Once.
I'm sorry?
Once.
Okay, once. Was that the event that Ms. Weber testified when your parents came to visit you?
Yes.
Okay, and when was that, just to confirm the date?
I think that was 3 weeks ago, 3 weekends ago.
Now, Judge, at this time I pass this witness.
Ms. White, do you have questions for Mr. Parks?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Mr. Parks, when did you and Mrs. Weber break up?
It's been multiple times.
When was the last time you broke up?
About 3 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago. No, actually, probably about 16 days ago.
Okay, okay, so at this point, currently, you are using Talking Parents, correct?
Yes.
When was the last time you had a phone conversation with Miss Weber?
Maybe a week ago.
Was this while you were in Louisiana?
No,
Did you speak with her on the phone while you were in Louisiana?
no. Well, no, did not.
You were blocked at that time, correct?
Yes.
Is there a way that she would have been able to tell that you were drinking?
Oh, wait, hold on. No, I was not blocked while I was in Louisiana. I was
Okay.
blocked a little while later.
A little while later, okay.
Mhm.
But you didn't talk to her while you were in Louisiana?
No, I didn't talk with her on the phone. I may have, I don't know if I sent messages or she sent messages. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I can look at them. I don't really.
How would she know you were partying?
In Louisiana?
Correct.
I have no idea
Okay.
because I wasn't.
Understood. Okay, so you said that your last drink was 6/12. How are you so sure about that date?
Because I was wanting to not drink anymore. Just
You made
because, yeah. And so that's the last date that I know that I had a drink. It was one drink at seltzer that day.
Okay, you said you entered rehab on your own in 2019.
Yes.
You sensed an issue?
I drank heavily for a month because I was kind of depressed about a relationship that ended and realized that maybe I drank too much and that I needed to do something about it.
Have you sensed an issue since then that you needed to do some type of rehabilitation at all?
No.
Okay. When you were, and Gemma was born what year?
This year, January 31st.
January of 2024, and you were in rehab of 2019.
Mhm.
And you guys started dating in 2021, correct?
November, November 22.
22. So rehab 2019, started dating 2022. Gemma was born 2024.
Mhm.
Okay, so by the time that you began dating and or having a child, you had already sensed the issue and corrected that issue through rehab.
Yes.
Okay, so you said that you've taking some medication with alcohol, a Unisom, something because you couldn't sleep. Was Gemma around at that time?
No.
You were home. You were alone.
Yes.
Okay. You've taken muscle relaxers. Do they make you drowsy?
No.
So, but you have only been taking them in the last 30 days. You said.
Yeah, probably the last 20. I have an
20.
injury on my arm, but I went to the doctor.
But you haven't drank in the last since you've been taking those
No.
because okay.
No.
I need your answer. Okay.
Yeah, no.
Okay. So the SPO, you said that you're fine with the standard possession order first, third, fifth weekend of the month, but you were looking to do a modified first, third, fifth Saturday of the month, and also one day during the week because you wanted to spend time with both of your children for dinners.
Yes.
Why is it again that you want the first, third Saturday only?
No, first, third, and fifth. Whatever
First,
the
third,
normal,
fifth Saturday, I'm
the
sorry.
standard. Because I have another daughter that's 10 years old, and one of the reasons that Jamie and I had a disagreement is because this daughter, there's some things that are not baby friendly. So initially I had said, no, I can't watch Gemma every weekend because I have Harper. We travel halfway across Houston for her soccer competitions and things like that. And then the next day I had a conversation with Jamie and told her, I'm willing to do that, but I'm just wanted to let you know that I would have to get a babysitter for Gemma so that I would be able to do things with Harper that she would like to do, like go to a movie, right? Or ride bikes even, I'm single.
So you're saying that you're trying to make time for both of the children, and Gemma being a young child,
Correct.
she's not. You can't take a baby to the movie.
Right.
A baby shouldn't be at a soccer match. It's a little too much for a baby.
Right.
Okay, so you're saying that you just want to have those Saturdays, first, third, fifth Saturdays while she's young, and until she's able to, get older and Gotcha.
Correct. And
Okay.
so that first, third, and fifth, of course, as well, so that her sister can see her. I mean, you know, my older daughter is in love with her, so I want her to be able to hang out and have time.
Okay. You said that you've only had one overnight visit just a few weeks ago. And why do you think you haven't had more visits?
Because I've been sleeping at Jamie's for the last 2 months. And every time we were hanging out and she would let me see Gemma, I was at Jamie's apartment.
So you spent time with her during the relationship.
Yes. And then other than that, she would normally block me and I had no way to contact her.
Okay.
Your Honor, when may I interrupt or interject to ask a question?
You cannot interrupt to ask questions. You can interrupt with legal objections.
Okay, I do have an objection.
What is
Your
your
Honor.
legal objection?
That is not correct. We
That's
have
not a
not
legal
been
objection.
together.
That's not a legal objection, ma'am. You'll get a chance to ask questions and speak, but this is not, you don't get to interrupt to correct or answer for people during testimony.
Okay, that's
So I'm
fine. I was just
overruling your
asking.
objection.
Okay,
I'm
no
overruling
problem.
your objection. And Ms. White, you may continue.
Okay. And you said that I think we left off, you had the overnights while you guys were in the relationship, but when you're not in a relationship, you're blocked.
Yes.
Okay. So when you're blocked, prior to talking parents, how are you able to get in contact with Miss Weber in regards to the baby?
I couldn't. I went 2.5 months and then I finally had enough of not seeing my baby, you know, and I went and put a note on her door and then she immediately unblocked me and sent me a text to come over.
Okay. Did you know that while you were blocked, the best method would to be at some point to go to her home? Did you guys discuss that?
No, she actually had told me the last time that we broke up and then I got blocked over the ensuing argument that may have happened. She told me that I was not welcome there.
Was not welcome where?
At her apartment.
Not true.
Even to see the child?
She said I was not welcome there at all. So I wasn't going to go over there. As Ms. Weber mentioned, she called the police department on me at my house. So I was not going to approach her house.
Understood. So your only recourse was at some point to go to the house and leave a note.
Right. I wasn't going to knock on the door. I just wanted to leave a note.
Okay. Bear with me one moment. So right now you guys are using Talking Parents. Is that conducive for you in building your parent-child relationship?
Well, we had an argument on there because, again, I have an objection to not being able to visit my daughter unsupervised. The argument on Talking Parents was mostly about that. I don't understand why I can't, when just a few weeks ago I could.
Okay. And so there was an allegation of harassing communication. Go ahead.
I asked her what harassment means because I didn't feel like I was harassing her. I felt like I was trying to have a conversation with her, but she said that me continuing to text her is harassment.
And what were you texting about?
I was talking about what I talked about earlier, that I don't understand. She said that if I want to see Gemma, I'm welcome to come over there. I told her I do not want to go over there to visit Gemma. I would like to have Gemma on my own as her parent with you know, her sister. Okay.
And was there at some point where you were demeaning her or being derogatory towards her?
No, not on that, no.
At any point?
No, I would have to look back at the only thing that I did is send a couple of screenshots of things that she was posting on social media to her, but other than that, no.
Okay, and you said she's posted what on social media? I'm sorry.
Well, there's a number of things, but most recently she's been saying that I'm a narcissist and posting things about that and all of this, and I just don't get it. There's a number of other things that she's posted.
Like what?
Just things that are derogatory against me that other people have seen and sent screenshots to me. She sent a long message to most of her Facebook friends about me, which one of her friends actually showed me the message. He wouldn't send me a copy of it, unfortunately, but I'm sure that, if we need to, we can ask any of her friends.
Okay. So last question, do you think that you are a good father?
Yes.
Do you think that your ability to parent Gemma is affected by the relationship that you no longer have with Miss Weber?
No.
Okay. Do you think that the fact that you guys aren't together affects you being a good father for Gemma?
No.
Do you think that if you guys were able to communicate better, that you would be allowed to be the father you want to be for Gemma?
Yes.
Okay. So do you think that the fact that you need supervised visitation is based on the relationship or you as a parent?
I believe it's on the relationship and her emotions. Yes.
Okay. I have no other questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Weber, do you have any questions that you want to ask Mr. Parks? Form of a question that he would answer.
Yes, my first question is, did you disclose all of your prescriptions that you were taking?
Objection, Your Honor. Irrelevant.
And object, Your Honor, time frame as far
Yes,
as
I'm going to overrule Ms. White's objection. I am going to grant Ms. Villarreal's objection. Ms. Weber, can you clarify the time frame you're asking about?
Oh, I'm sorry. The time, I thought you were asking her for the time frame of our meeting. The time frame of the earlier conversation about that you asked him if he was taking any prescriptions currently.
Currently? Oh,
Currently.
yes. Sorry. Yes. I take Prestige and Trazodone as well. Yes.
Thank you.
Right. Prestige is an antidepressant. And Trazodone is also an antidepressant. Yes.
Thank you. That is all.
Okay. Ms. Villarreal, do you have any further questions?
just a couple, Judge. Mr. Parks, there was your testimony that you had mentioned that. Have you ever sent a text message that may have been mean towards
Of
Ms. Weber?
course.
Okay.
Yes.
And what would you consider to be mean, or what did you send her?
Probably calling her out on the mean things that she did to me. That's normally the arguments that happen.
Okay.
I can't give you an exact example. I mean,
Now,
it's normally.
let me go ahead and ask this,
Okay.
okay? So when was the last time you, quote unquote, sent this mean text message to Ms. Weber, you would say? When was the last time?
I don't know how many days ago. Maybe a week ago.
And what was that text message or conversation regarding?
I don't know. I would have to pull it up and look at it. I mean, it was us going back and forth as we usually do about
Okay,
that.
well, so what's the worst things what's the worst thing that you've told Ms. Weber?
She would probably say the worst thing I ever told her
No,
was
Mr. Parks, if you could, what's the worst thing that you have sent based on your opinion, not Ms. Weber's?
things like you're an idiot, you're stupid, or something.
Okay.
Does it make
Now,
sense?
have you ever sent any messages that have threatened to harm Ms. Weber physically?
No.
Okay. Have you ever sent text messages that threaten Ms. Weber's well-being?
No.
In any okay. Now, has there been events where you send Ms. Weber text messages without a response from Ms. Weber?
No, she would normally respond.
Okay. So, what's your definition of harassment?
Harassment. Threats. Things like that.
Okay. Now, and I know you testified that, so did Ms. Weber ever give you an answer of what her definition of harassment is?
Yes, I asked her. She said
What did she
I should have stopped texting me, and that was pretty much one of the last things that I sent. I mean, that's one of the last times I responded. But I was trying to have a conversation about Gemma.
Okay.
Yeah.
I pass this witness, Judge.
Ms. White, do you have any further questions for Mr. Parks?
No, Your Honor.
Do you have any other witnesses, Ms. Villarreal?
No, Judge.
Ms. White, do you have any witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
And Ms. Weber, you don't have an attorney. The state doesn't represent you, so I am going to give you a chance to speak. about anything today, well, anything relevant today. Ms. White, feel free to interrupt with legal objections if you feel appropriate.
No problem. I don't have anything really to say as far as Gemma goes. I want Chad Parks in her life. I just want to be sure that he is mentally stable first, based on the harassment.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that, Ms. White.
An objection, mentally stable. She's not a doctor. She can't make a medical conclusion.
I'm going to overrule it only because she's not making a medical conclusion. She's kind of just pontificating. And so, Ms. Weber, you may continue, but please note that you are not a doctor.
I'm not a doctor. I'm not making any kind of medical statements. I just want to be sure that with these supervised visits that everything seems okay and he's able to be the father that he wants to be and that Gemma needs, and that there's no concerns. That's really it. That's my biggest concern is her. I don't want to sit in here and play tit for tat and argue about anything else. I'm concerned about her. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Just looking back.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, I'm going to let you all make brief closing arguments about what you're requesting. I'll start with Ms. White.
Thank you, Your Honor. Okay, so the issues before us currently, Your Honor, is the geo restriction and possession and access that we would like to have temporary orders on. As we discussed, it is clear that the issue with the geo restriction for the temporary orders currently, there's a current lease. Ms. Weber isn't planning to go anywhere right now. So I think that the geo restriction is appropriate for temporary orders right now. And we can absolutely revisit it at final, but I don't think that it's necessary if it's a lease issue because she can go back to work. In regards to the possession and access or the conservatorship, we don't have an issue with conservatorship, but Mr. Parks is willing to, as we stated, do some type of step up with the first, third, and fifth Saturdays from the 10 to 6, I believe is the hours that he's asking for with a one night a week where he can have dinner with his children to maintain a good relationship with the sister unit. I think that is in the best interest of any child is to also get real close with the familial unit. I don't think that the supervised visits are necessary. He's been around the child other than the times that Ms. Weber has blocked him and not allowed him to see the child, but he did in his own right go looking for the child and try what he needed to do as a father to maintain that relationship. So I think it's important that we do some type of step up process, but I don't think that supervised is necessary. The other issues we can reserve for trial.
And Ms. Villarreal, I'm not going to make you do a closing unless you want to, because I know these aren't issues that you all take positions on, and I know that you want me to approve your agreements.
Correct, Judge, yes.
Okay. Ms. Weber, is there anything you wanted to say in closing?
She's on mute.
Oh, if you can unmute, ma'am.
Fine, as much as he wants to see her, if that's what he wants, I'm okay with that. But I do stand firm on the step up plan with 10, 10, and 10. I think that is best in Gemma's interest. It has nothing to do with me and his relationship. That's it. I'm okay with everything else.
Amen.
Okay. I am going to approve the agreements that were read into the record and everyone stipulated to. And so I will approve the joint managing conservatorship. And I'm going to order that Mr. Parks pay to Ms. Weber $1,356 per month beginning October 1st of 2024. I'm also going to order that Mr. Parks provide health insurance and dental insurance for Gemma. And I'm ordering that each party pay 50% of any unreimbursed expenses. I'm going to order the talking app parent app for communication. I'm going to grant the non-disclosure for Ms. Weber's telephone number with all other information being in the order. I'm going to order an injunction against Mr. Parks to refrain from alcohol or illicit drugs within 24 hours or during visits. Gemma. I'm also ordering,
John, I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I know I'm also ordering the what I call the be nice provisions, those injunctions, the standard no intentionally, knowingly, or recklessly destroying, removing, I'm sorry, the wrong thing. Okay. Intentionally communicating in person or in any other manner, including telephone or electronic voice transmission, video chat, in writing, or electronic messaging with the other party by use of vulgar, profane, obscene, or indecent language, or in a coarse or offensive manner with intent to annoy or alarm the other party. And these ones apply to both parties. I'm going to do mutual injunctions on the conduct ones. Everyone's enjoined from threatening the other party in person or in any other manner, including the telephone or another electronic voice transmission, video chat, in writing, or electronic messaging, to take unlawful action against any person intending by this action to annoy or alarm the other party. And I can send these to you, Ms. Villarreal. Placing a telephone call anonymously or at an unreasonable hour in an offensive and repetitive manner, or without legitimate purpose of communication, with intent to annoy or alarm the other party, and threatening the other party or child of either party with imminent bodily injury. We're going to have those be nice provisions. For the temporary order, I am going to order the geographic restriction to Galveston and contiguous counties. As far as I could tell from testimony, there is that lease and she's not considering leaving until sometime in January. And ma'am, just to confirm, you said it was a year. That really means February then, because the child.
Correct.
Okay. So you're
Correct.
good until the end of January. When
Yes,
does the
ma'am.
lease actually expire?
In December. I'm able to extend it if I need to, but it costs too much money, but it ends in December.
Okay. Okay. For visitation, I'm going to begin with the first, third, and fifth weekends of the month from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. unsupervised. It wasn't clear he wanted to step up, Ms. White.
No, he didn't want to step up. He's just saying that that's what he was willing to do. The SPO is good. A standard SPO is good. So what is your question? So I can make sure that I answer.
I just wanted to understand if he even wanted to step up, because he seemed.
No, he didn't want to step up at all.
Because it would interfere with other things.
No, he didn't want, well, okay, you're right, Your Honor. So he wants to step up while she's little. So we wanted to step up, just not supervised.
But he was concerned about taking a baby to soccer and.
Right, that's why we were okay with the step up for now.
But no, that's the opposite of being okay with the step up, though. But
wait, just so right now he's just looking, he wants the Saturdays.
Okay, I'm just going to leave it at that for now, based on his testimony. The first, third, and fifth Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
For the temporary orders.
For the temporary orders.
Okay, that's fine, Your Honor.
And then for pickup and drop off, I don't want it to be at her house, but I want it to be convenient. Ma'am, is there like a public location for pickup and drop offs where there's people around?
We can do the Target parking lot.
Okay, where is that Target?
It's about 1 mile from both of our houses.
Well, can you give a description? Like, is it on 45? Is it?
Clear Lake Shores, Marina Bay Drive.
Okay. Okay.
And
So
yeah, the address is 255 Marina Bay Drive, Clear Lake Shores.
I just wanted you to have enough information that you could figure out which one it was, because there's a lot of Targets in the Galveston County area. We will do that. And then, Ms. White, I just had a question for you. You mentioned at the beginning you have a limited scope representation.
Correct.
I just want to throw out there, I don't know what that means exactly, but if you're not going to be back here for final trial, you will need to still file a motion in order to withdraw.
I will file
because your contract might say something, but as far as here, you're in the case.
I'll file a motion to withdraw, because unless Mr. Parks hired for final trial, I will file a motion to withdraw.
Okay. And let's come back for final trial.
Judge, we do have December 9th. It is 90 days out. We can do 8:30 since I know this more than likely will probably be a trial. Unless Your Honor wants it a little bit further out, but
Well, in the last 2 weeks, well, the last week and a half, I guess, we obviously can't do it.
yeah.
I
The only other one would be December 11th, Judge.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, I don't think we're gonna have a conflict docket that day, but I'm not sure.
Okay, yes.
But I think it would be safe. But yeah, why don't we do December 11th? And hopefully we can get more firm testimony about the future.
Yes, Judge.
Yes.
And that would be at 8:30, Judge?
Yes, let's do 8:30 on December
Okay.
11th.
Yes, Judge. Thank you. Thank you, Judge. May the parties be excused to the breakout room so that we can draft the temp order.
Yes, they may be. And do you want me to send you the injunction language?
Yes,
Okay,
please, Judge.
I
I
will
can
do that.
include that into
Okay.
the temp order as well.
I will send it to you, and I'm going to stop the recording. And
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.